Okay, the entire trajectory, whatever you want to call it, of the Detroit Lions season changed. And it's not because they lost, right? They still have a 61% chance to be the number one seed according to playoff stats. They still are the number one seed. They still are number one in the NFC North, all of that stuff. But here's the thing, and this is what's crazy. It's not the loss. It is what happened during the loss. So we are going to run through this, but with all the injuries, I have a big question coming up for you in like 30 seconds. So stay tuned to this. There were multiple major injuries, the most recent of which we found out officially is that David Montgomery is out for the year. So he's done. He is out for the year with a torn MCL. We thought originally this was an MCL sprain. It also shows that this dude is just a monster. He went back in and had multiple carries after this knee injury. We're going to get more into that in a second. And then came the big one. I would say probably the most devastating of the three major injuries that we had this weekend, and that was Aleem McNeil. We'll talk about what the opportunities and what options we have behind him. There's a couple players that I would love to say, but they're hurt too, so we're going to talk about that. He tore his ACL. Now, both of these are injuries that could be serious enough that they could linger or move even into next year. So we'll keep an eye on that through the entirety of the off season and going forward. But this is 100% out for the season for both of these guys. And then the last one is another surgery, and it's Carlton Davis will need to undergo surgery for a broken jaw. Adam Schefter reported that he would be sidelined indefinitely. I have heard 6 weeks. Whatever, right? Like, I've heard different things, but even that means that he won't be back. By my math, there's 3 weeks left in the season. You have the first, second, and third round of the playoffs. That's through the NFC Championship game. If he's injured for 6 weeks, he will be back at the earliest in the NFC Championship and possibly Super Bowl, like, because the Super Bowl would be 8 weeks. So him and Hutch, I guess, like, hey, team, let's get back for the Super Bowl. So sorry if I'm not seemingly like through the moon here. I'm not. So let's kind of take this one step at a time. So with David Montgomery, what we're going to look at with David Montgomery is, look, that just means a lot more Jahmyr Gibbs. And so it's late enough in the season where I don't think Jahmyr Gibbs will get too run down. The question is, who do we see second? But before I get into that, here's my question for you. Does this entirely change the trajectory of your expectations of this Detroit Lion team? I think all of us, even with the Hutch injury, even with the linebackers injury, as our defensive line started to get healthier, we started to get more back to full strength. I think a lot of us still felt like this team could win the Super Bowl. This was a Super Bowl caliber team. Do you still feel like this is a Super Bowl caliber team, knowing that 3 starters at 3 important positions are now lost with the starters that are already gone? We'll get into that in a little bit. But let's go one at a time. First is David Montgomery. The question is, how many carries a game does that leave for guys like Craig Reynolds? Does Sione Vaki get more of an opportunity? Has he gotten enough reps in practice for the coaching staff to feel comfortable with him? What does that look like? Do we bring someone off the practice squad? I don't know. That's the one where it's probably the easiest because Jahmyr Gibbs is phenomenal, but now you're relying on him, a guy who's consistently only had about 20 touches or less a game, and now you're probably going to be asking him to have 25 to 30. Can his body take that and the wear and tear? The second one we need to look at, and I'll save McNeil here for a second, I think the second one we need to look at is Carlton Davis. All right, who can we do there? The question is, do you keep Amik Robertson out or inside, or do you move him outside? So Amik Robertson is an option. He can keep playing into the slot, and you allow him to stay there, and then you either put Vildor on the outside, which... he lost that spot to Dorsey because in the midst of all this, we also lost Khalil Dorsey for the year. So is it Vildor? Is it Mosley? He is healthy. He is active. He just has not been playing. All right. They activated him from the IR 3 weeks ago, but they've kept him on ice. Or is it Enos Rakestraw? And this is a guy we haven't seen. He is eligible to return off IR this week. That's a big if there, though. And Dan Campbell, while giving injury updates on all the other guys, said very little on Enos Rakestraw. So we got Rakestraw as a possible replacement, Mosley as a possible replacement, Vildor, and move Robertson. But if you move Robertson, then maybe you put Mosley in the slot. My first vote is let's see what Mosley's got. If he's healthy, if he's able to play, he's a guy who's been there. He's been a guy who's done that. I think the ceiling with Mosley is much higher than it is with Vildor. That's kind of my thing. And now let's jump into, and I'll show you the depth chart here. Let's look at Aleem McNeil. So Aleem McNeil is out. So really, there's not a lot behind him. It's Pat O'Connor, who has played admirably. All right, he has played admirably. You've got Levi Onwuzurike and Broderick Martin. Broderick Martin would be more the guy who's going to play if DJ Reader was hurt. He will be the guy that might come in to give DJ Reader, a rest here and there every once in a while. But I'm not sure what that looks like. So you're going to be looking at Levi Onwuzurike to play the Aleem McNeil role. You saw, and this isn't just because Aleem McNeil was out. The Bills ran the ball all over us. That's the Josh Allen threat. I didn't realize that we were playing Superman yesterday. Like, the guy was insane. He looked like a man amongst boys, and I've never seen a quarterback make a defense look that unathletic and slow and small as I did with Josh Allen. Hey, it's a feeling that the Rams know very well as well. I understand that. So that is kind of what we're looking at for the replacements. But my big thing is, does this change what you believe the level of this team is? I think we kind of the Bills showed that if you're going to just play man, we can expose that. Now, if we're just playing man, do we even have the pieces up front to do it? Because what we've done in the past is we continue to play man, and then we just shut down the run game. We shut down the run game with Aleem McNeil gone, with Aiden Hutchinson gone, with Mekhi Wingo gone, with Pecco gone. Like, you look at all these guys that have gotten injured, right? And then people I'm not even thinking about, Davenport, right? Kaminsky, all of them hurt. Can we continue to have that great run stopping to make teams one-dimensional, even if that one dimension is passing for 300-plus yards every game? So these are the things that we need to look at. The season, when I say it just took a drastic turn, it's because I don't know if we're still Super Bowl threats. Like, do we believe we still have a real chance against the Eagles? Do we believe we have a real chance against the Bills if we see them? I'm going to go with we still are. I think we still are, because even with our defense banged up, even with our defense just being a straight sieve, we were within a score of a Bills team that is absolutely red hot. So yes, I absolutely do believe that we still have the ability to get through the NFC and have a chance at the Super Bowl. Do I believe the chances are diminished? Yes. I think it takes our Super Bowl chances from what was like to make the Super Bowl. Let's say that was 40% with a 20% chance to win. I think it takes both of those in half. Then you have a 20% chance to make it with a 10% chance to win. Look, great teams, good teams have to go through adversity. The struggle with these 3 injuries, really 4 if you count Dorsey, is that it's the year. Like, they're done. And so you have to wonder how much, you can take on that. I will say this, and this might be controversial on this channel. If I had to pick Montgomery or Gibbs, it would have been Monty. However, if I had to pick Aleem McNeil or DJ Reader, it would have been Reader, right, to get hurt. If I had to pick Carlton Davis versus Terrion Arnold with the way that they're playing right now, I'd probably take Carlton Davis. So at least I think we still have really good starters left. And this is where the depth of the roster and the talent of the other starters, it's time for this offensive line to be the dominant offensive line that we know they have the opportunity to be. All right, hey, thanks for watching. I know it's a bummer, but at the same time, this is still a great team. This is a 12-2 team. This is a team that's going to be favored the next 2 weeks, even with the injuries. And this is a team that likely will have a game against the Vikings that will be worth everything. Number 1 overall seed, possibly. Definitely the North, right? So I think all of that can absolutely still be on the line as we go against the Vikings. All right. Hey, thank you so much for watching. Go Lions. We're not going anywhere, right? And this team's not going anywhere. Stick with it. Keep watching. This is a team that still has a great chance this year and a wonderful chance in the future.